Well, a few keen observers have noticed that something has changed on Lucasfilm Story Group head honcho Pablo Hidalgo's Twitter page. In fact, his bio has been altered, and there's something notably missing all of a sudden within the last 24 to 48 hours. And that is his job title at Lucasfilm. Any mention of Lucasfilm itself, the Story Group, or anything related, it's gone, leading some to speculate that Pablo Hidalgo is out. Well, we might just have some information on that, so stick around. Let's get into it.
Renegade Online.
Well, welcome back, folks. Another great day here at Valiant Renegades. Good to see everybody out there. Thank you so much again for coming out Thursday night, those of you that could join us for the first anniversary live stream for Valiant Renegade, the first time we've ever done a live stream on Valiant Renegade, as a matter of fact. Make sure you can go back and check that anniversary stream out. I think I'm going to leave that one up for a little while. As I've mentioned in the past, we've got a second channel that has been established called Renegade Online. I'll put the link in the description of this video. Please make sure you go check that one out, subscribe to it. I don't have any content there yet, but that is where the live streams will be deposited once we get going on those regularly each week, probably starting next weekend. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll give you all the information you need. So, and again, if you're like one of the 60 or 70% maybe watching this video for the first time, or watching this channel for the first time, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and do leave a comment before you head out the door today. This is an article from WDW Pro at thatparkplace.com that just recently came out this morning. And to be quite frank, I contacted WDW Pro yesterday evening when I started seeing some of this news about Pablo's Twitter change, and had asked him to go ahead and take a look, see what he could find out. His article is there. You can go read it. We'll leave a link to this in the description below as well, but we're going to talk about what we think went on and some of the information that Pro was able to dig up that we talked about early this morning. Pro had missed the story. And first of all, I do want to give credit because I believe the first person to take notice of this on Pablo's Twitter page was indeed fellow YouTuber Stephanie Janizek of Smuggler's Cantina. And I had a few other friends on Twitter that tagged me in some things that alert me to it. And that's when I contacted WDW Pro yesterday. So look, Pablo Hidalgo has a long, let's just say, sordid history at Lucasfilm. I'm going to tell you, and there's no direct confirmation yet that he has been let go of Lucasfilm, but the signs seem to point that way. In fact, updating your Twitter account like that is, in fact, something a company like Disney would compel him to do immediately upon termination from said company. So that fits the narrative in terms of we think that Pablo might be gone. We also know that Pablo Hidalgo has caused Lucasfilm and Disney a great deal of consternation in the last year or so. If we all think back, we remember the infamous, let's just say, insult that he delivered to famous Star Wars YouTuber Star Wars Theory. Star Wars Theory had a lovely, genuine, beautiful reaction to the return of Luke Skywalker in the final episode of Mando Season 2. We all, including myself, a lot of us, I say we all, but a great many of us, probably more than would care to admit, we're sitting there, balling up, crying, watching that heroic return, waiting for the Luke Skywalker that we've wanted now for years, that Disney, up to that point, had failed to give us, in fact, insulted us with the Luke Skywalker that we got in The Last Jedi. Pablo Hidalgo has often been one that has maligned the Star Wars fans routinely, but yet he still held the seat of power in the Lucasfilm Story Group. Well, that issue with Star Wars Theory was the first big strike with Pablo Hidalgo because it created a great many problems for Disney, and they needed to silence him pretty quick after that. He got a lot of fan backlash because, frankly, what he did was just atrocious, and he should have left it alone. But Pablo Hidalgo, as we have learned over the years, is a guy that, frankly, can't keep his mouth shut. And it is for that exact reason that I believe he has been terminated from the Lucasfilm Story Group. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why. Because the second thing he did, strike two, was last year, around this same time, as a matter of fact, it is believed that it was Pablo Hidalgo himself who contacted Hollywood Press and let them know that they had no intention of recontracting Gina Carano at any point in the future at Lucasfilm, meaning her contract had been served through the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and they had no intention of signing her up for any future Star Wars Lucasfilm projects. This is where the story of she had been fired came from, but it is technically inaccurate to say that she was fired. She was simply stated to be no longer under contract, which she wasn't at that point, and then that she would not be re-signed to a new contract. I know some people have been making comparisons recently to the Whoopi Goldberg thing, but that's 2 totally different situations. That's for another video. But back to this. That was a strike against Hidalgo because, again, that happened within a day or 2 of the Disney Quarterly Investor Report. They did not want that kind of press out there. Bob Chapek, they did not want that kind of press out there. Just 24 hours or less, I believe it was, from having to go and do a public meeting and take one of their biggest stars at that moment and have to deal with fan backlash that she had been let go. Now, of course, Disney does not like to air dirty laundry in public. We have said this here a million times. So once that die was cast, Disney decided it's best to just leave it alone. This has now been stated, but behind the scenes, apparently Hidalgo was taken to the woodshed for letting that out. And of course, it is a problem because people like Pablo Hidalgo, especially in his position, are certainly placed under NDAs or non-disclosure agreements. That is to say that he's not supposed to be going out in public, divulging inside company information, divulging what they're doing, what's going on. Well, sure enough, Pablo Hidalgo just cannot keep his foot out of his mouth. He cannot keep his mouth shut to begin with. And a few weeks ago, we got this. Now, I didn't do a video on this story because initially I thought it was rather benign. I really didn't pay attention to who the source of this data was. Somebody had leaked out about a back and forth disagreement between J.J. Abrams and Lucasfilm when it came to The Force Awakens, meaning they wanted to blow up Coruscant. The other side said, no way, you can't blow up Coruscant. And the planet they blew up, Halcyon Prime or whatever, was a happy middle ground. Well, as it turns out, and I didn't really pay attention to this that closely, that was Pablo Hidalgo. He did that on his Twitter page, as a matter of fact. And I just blew it off at first. It really didn't catch my attention. But now it is. Because according to WDW Pro, the sources that he contacted to find out what was going on after I talked to him last night, came back and said that basically for the last 2 weeks, Pablo Hidalgo has been in several meetings and none of them have been pretty. It is all centered around his public leaking of this J.J. Abrams Lucasfilm rift over how to handle certain aspects of Star Wars. And as we said, Pablo Hidalgo has a history of running his mouth. This was his 3rd strike. And it is rumored that it was this 3rd strike that is what has done him in at this point. Now, we can speculate on who actually made the decision. And I know there's a lot of people out there that probably look at this and go, well, Kennedy would have defended him. Kennedy wouldn't have let him go. You know, they were good friends, blah, blah, blah. This had to come from upstairs, maybe from an Alan Bergman or perhaps a Bob Chapek. Yes, all of that is very possible. I'm sure they were involved in this because they don't like leaks coming out either that cause issues like this or give the appearance of rifts between directors and studios. That being said, given the fact that Pablo Hidalgo has loose lips that sink ships, as it were, I would think that Kathleen Kennedy, even though they might be good friends, would have to have come to the realization that he has to go. Think about this for a moment. You have somebody like this that cannot keep their mouth shut. What if he and Kathy have a disagreement one day? What if they are at odds? Kathy's not going to want him running his mouth, a person who already has a known history of running their mouth online when they're not supposed to, in violation of non-disclosure agreements that he certainly would have signed as part of his employment contract with Disney. She doesn't want him around either. So Kathy Kennedy may have actually made this call herself. Don't be surprised, but certainly it could have come from higher up, and that may be the case. Either way, this is all on Pablo Hidalgo, if the story is true, if he is indeed have been let go from Lucasfilm, which at this point, we have to think that he is. Again, I don't think somebody like Pablo Hidalgo, who's Star Wars was his life, according to him. Lucasfilm was his life. I mean, he loved being there. As detrimental to Star Wars and to Lucasfilm as we can argue that he did care about it. That being said, at least in his own way, he cared about it. But that being said, I don't think this is something that Pablo Hidalgo would have walked away from willingly. Apparently, there was something going on, and the something going on was this leak right here. That was the last straw for the Walt Disney Company. And again, Walt Disney has their quarterly earnings report coming up Wednesday this week on February 9th. It's right upon us. So again, they hate stories like this. They hate leaks like this. They don't want anything to cause a ruckus publicly in the fandom, especially in this close proximity to a big public meeting. So again, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about all this. Leave a comment below. Please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Share this sucker out on the social medias. And until next time, take care.